Welcome to In Frame Out's Year in Film, where we take stock of 12 months of spectacular cinema and unfortunate rubbish. This year we fought tooth and nail to narrow it down to the 10 best and 10 worst films of 2018. We didn't see everything, sorry, and some of the films aren't eligible simply because I hated them too much to finish. Due to the sheer volume and quality of films in 2018, I'll be starting things off with 10 honourable and 10 dishonourable mentions. While they didn't quite make the top 10, consider these all tied for 11th place in their respective categories. Honourable mentions. With a nearly non-existent plot and characters so two-dimensional they could be felled by a gentle breeze, why the love? Because it delivers on the most piano wire slicing, human shield exploding violence conceivable. Yeah, it's ripping off The Raid, but nobody's done punching this well since, well, The Raid, so it totally gets a pass.
It's fine. It is.
Cutting to the bone of very real maternal challenges without ever falling into the trap of equating mental health issues with weakness. It still maintains a great deal of compassion and strength through humour and anguish. The only thing keeping this from my top 10 is the ending, which is so misjudged and derivative it feels like a botched deleted scene left in by mistake. A phenomenal film that somewhat trips at the finish.
I really think that you should just kill yourself.
While it doesn't quite stick the landing when it comes to factual accuracy versus hearsay, think Scorsese with ice skating and you'll be on board. Charismatic protagonists sway between damaged patchworks and narcissistic ciphers, sold completely by career best performances, lipstick teeth and all.
I don't know.
Book-to-film adaptations are often called into question. Here, Alex Garland captures the mood and high-minded science of the novel while drastically mutating it into a slow-moving, Tarkovsky-esque companion piece rather than a recognisable translation. Foregoing easy categorization for peculiar stillness and abstract visual storytelling is somewhere between The Descent and Under the Skin, and if that doesn't sell how great I think this film is, I really don't know what you want.
You know what? I don't think you girls are thinking this through.
In Corey Foley's directorial debut, he applies his theatrical talents to staging two very troubled young women against a backdrop of affluent indifference in a way that is quietly compelling and insidiously real. A calling card for all involved and a stark reminder that Anton Yelchin was one of the best and the medium of cinema is all the poorer for his absence.
Maybe it is explicit or extreme, but it sure as hell looks like life to me.
With our online lives breeding paranoid hatred and a dislocation from sincerity, Assassination Nation is more than #Heathers. This is The Purge if The Purge wasn't awful. A Harmony Korine film if he wasn't a pretentious sleazebag. This is Generation Fuck Your Feelings armed with Instagram and guns. And if that doesn't scare the shit out of you, you haven't been watching the news.
It didn't make any sense. They were bikers and gnarly psychos.
My first review for the channel was this what if drugs could take drugs take on the revenge survival subgenre, and I stand by everything I said there. The first hour is so slow it could gather moss, the second half however, well, I mean just bask in it. Nicolas Cage is back, and he's getting weird again.
Thank you for the opportunity, gentlemen.
When America is joking on poisonous rhetoric from every angle, it takes more than a hearty slap on the back to clear the obstruction. Spike Lee instead opts for a roundhouse kick to the back of the head, for better and worse. Accessible in a way Lee hasn't been since Inside Man, he mines comedic barbs from the profound irrationality of racism and the farcical nature by which white supremacists justify their hatred. The structure doesn't entirely work, and some of the modern day parallels are too on the nose to be truly effective, but it's brazen, often brilliant, and an undeniably powerful film.
Trick is you have to switch off your emotions, let instinct kick in.
Scotland is great at many things. The arts, heart disease, and enormously depressing descents into basement dank. Moral certainty is only as strong as the push that comes to shove, and self-preservation is potentially the most destructive trait we have as a species. Watch Caliber, don't see a trailer, don't read a synopsis, go in blind, and come out broken.
We got God over here on this side, And we got a sex-crazed monkey.
A coming-of-age story about a prodigal son who starts to suspect that his Ned Flanders father is in fact an infamous, unidentified serial killer. As much a modern parable about the complicity of the church in acts of evil as it is a taut thriller, this is a hidden gem well worth tracking down. Dishonourable mentions.
It's been a good run. Thanks for playing.
I have absolutely no issue with Liam Neeson as a baby boomer badass. It's a shame then that the scripts that float to the top of Neeson's inbox are spam level nonsense like The Commuter. I'm not going to point out plot holes or the insufferable stupidity of it all. I'll just say this: you shouldn't be upset if you miss this train.
This is ridiculous.
Duncan Jones' Moon was a statement of intent. Smart with a heart science fiction with an equal respect for both sides of that coin. Here, his long gestating passion project is a dumbfounding misfire, where every great idea is almost immediately undermined by a lifeless screenplay, a grossly misjudged subplot, and the creeping malaise of something both overcooked and underwritten.
I'm over here, I'm holding onto the poop side of this scrubber.
This year hasn't been kind to the legacy of Die Hard. The creative minds behind Workaholics pay homage to John McClane with mild homophobia, dead on arrival improvisational banter, and a cast of characters so unlikable I gave up trying to remember anyone's names and just mentally dubbed everyone Jerk Douche. It's far more try-hard than it is anything close to Die Hard.
Just take a look.
No, Herman, I gotta stop you. Look, none of this matters.
Instead of Del Toro's inclusive and earnest kaiju versus rock'em sock'em robot spectacle, we have guffaw-inducing laziness and unapologetic pandering to the lowest common denominator of serviceable sequels. Some admittedly dumb fun aside, it plays out like a lobotomized Ender's Game. Oh, and it steals its last scene from Independence Day Resurgence. Not a good look.
So if you want to know what I really think, I think you're full of shit.
As someone who hard quit the insufferable novel, which reads like a Big Bang Theory script in VR, this film manages to exceed my low expectations while remaining broken on a number of fundamental levels. It's slight, annoying, and desperate to play gatekeeper with its nerd credibility in a bizarre future where no new pop culture has been created since 2017? And with a beautifully realised The Shining sequence, I just spent the whole film feeling bad for Ben Mendelsohn.
Feel free to tell me to piss off.
Sucking the marrow from the bones of It Follows while grave robbing the Final Destination series, this is a joyless exercise in barrel scraping from the Blumhouse battery farm of cheap, disposable horror. It spends half its runtime establishing its ridiculous rules, only to abandon them in a rush to the bloodless, turgid final act. A game that doesn't play fair isn't just cheating its narrative, it's putting one over on an audience that deserves better.
I'll park a bus up your ass fucking sideways.
The biggest crime Gotti commits is it isn't bad enough. I mean, it's absolute dreck, but beyond that there's not much to say. It's a Goodfellas knockoff with shot composition straight out of a high school film project and a soundtrack by Pitbull that could have very well been composed by an actual dog. John Travolta's fine, even bordering on too good for this material at points, but this isn't the worst film of the year. It's just a bad one.
There's a lot to be afraid of out there.
Here's how it starts. Thinly sketched stereotypes drive through a nondescript apocalyptic event. Here's how it ends, with me bored beyond belief waiting for an explanation that never comes to justify a film that shouldn't exist. With such a wealth of end-of-the-world fiction to digest, just watch It Comes at Night, Stakeland or Children of Men, and let this one disappear.
Something bad is coming.
This is the darkest film of the year. No, it's not bleak or narratively challenging, it's just terribly lit. Like they had to light the entire second act with a glow stick on a fishing rod. I was genuinely shocked to find out this was directed by Ben Young, who made Hounds of Love, one of the most uncompromising and twisted psychological dramas of 2016. The most notable thing about Extinction is just how lifeless it is.
Why don't we sit down? We'll enjoy a couple of beers.
No film starring Jason Statham fighting a shark the size of a football field has any right to be this joyless. There's no blood, no jokes, and nothing you can get from this lukewarm runoff that you couldn't glean from the poster while someone violently shakes you from behind. It's not camp, not self-aware, It's just flopping around on the deck, gasping for air. And those were our honourable and dishonourable mentions of 2018. Tune in next week for entries 10 through 6 of our best films of 2018. What are your favourites and least favourite films of the year? You got any honourable or dishonourable mentions of your own? Hit us up in the comments and let us know. Until next time, this is In Frame Out.